And this is another bird that I get to discuss with you, Jonathan. Um,
Boy, your voice sounds so familiar, Katie.
haven't we
Yeah.
met somewhere?
Do you come here often? Yes. So so here is Jackie the cockatiel. Once again, reminding our viewers they can ask questions in the Q&A and we'll try to get them answered. And again, a reminder that cockatiels generally, like budgies, need cockatiel friends, just as budgies need budgie friends.
Yeah,
So
and part of why we're not seeing Jackie with a friend yet is that she's actually been with Mickaboo for a fairly short time. That first video we were looking at was her in a hospital tank, in fact.
yeah, she was kind of sick when she came in, and we have a policy at Mickaboo, if you're bringing a bird into a home with other birds, that bird has to be quarantined for at least 6 weeks. Because birds are so good at hiding illness that even if they've had a vet checkup, it is possible that they're harboring something, and we don't want that to spread to the rest of your flock. So let's talk a little bit about Jackie, and let's start with how she came into Mickaboo.
Oh, this is a heart-wrenching story. The last set of the budgies that we just talked about, and also Gus the Amazon, a couple found birds and a couple owner surrenders, but Jackie was different. Jackie was discovered by a kind and sharp-eyed person in a box in a park. So she was abandoned or forgotten. Something happened that
I
led
think
to
I
her
think the
being,
technical term is dumped. Yeah.
most likely, yes. I can imagine, a possibility where, someone dumped her, but someone, I don't know.
Anyway,
Yeah. On some level, she was dumped. And she was very lucky because someone noticed that box and determined that there was a living animal, a creature in there, and took Jackie and her box home with them and called around until they found us. The volunteer who received her from that person noticed that there was a terrible swollen something on her eye, but also described her as feisty. So she was quite sick. She had actually an abscess under her left eye. And so when they received her from the finder, they took her straight to the vet, and she was there for about a month for treatment. So referencing our $50,000 vet bills.
right,
And
a
this
month
is
of
one of the ways
treatment.
they happen.
Yeah, a month of treatment is not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
yeah,
she's
and
been
she's very
in,
fortunate, and
yeah,
I do want to say that, a number of birds who've been found recently, birds who are found are often in bad shape. And I've been very sad to watch a couple who've been found who passed away before they could even being taken directly to the vet from where they were picked up and still didn't
yes,
make it. It's
yes.
so Jackie was a lucky one. She got picked up and treated.
Mm-hmm. And now you can see her beak moving there, squawking for service. Jackie likes her routine. She has a way she wants her days to be. This is still early days, and what is that big scary camera doing in my face? You can see her body's a little slicked down and stepping backwards, like, what is this hand doing? So she's not quite moving away, but there she goes a little bit. This is a cockatiel telling you, back off, I'm not feeling comfortable. So referencing our previous conversation about children and birds, this is the kind of thing that the grown-up in the house has to maybe guide them about. This is bird body language that I'm concerned. And
Right. This is
to
a
a
bird
certain
who's
point,
saying, I'm not comfortable with this.
yeah, and to a
Please
certain
stop. Please
point,
stop.
when we're working on taming a bird and assessing, where they're at, we may push their boundaries a little bit, just to see and to try and show them that that we're we would like to be friends with them. We're not just going to grab them and do something terrible. This hand is also, oh, there. Oh my goodness, there she goes, but then she
Right.
flies off. But this
Yep.
is,
I was brave. I did it. That was more than I can take. Thank you
yeah.
very much. Yeah.
But here, this is flash forward about a month, I believe, and Jackie's having a lovely arugula snack here. You
And
can
she's very
see
comfortable with the hand so close to her.
she's very comfortable. That little crest is more puffed up. She's just feeling so happy and comfortable. Look at the greens on her beak. And there, look at that. This is a whole different body language.
Yeah,
Close to a hand.
absolutely. And this is a really nice visual. You know, when she came in, she'd obviously had some rough times, and had some pretty good reason to not have a lot of trust for hands and humans that were attached to them. And
Yeah.
seeing her regain trust like this is really nice. What does she eat?
Jackie is on a diet of primarily Nutrien cakes, but definitely with a side of veggies. As you saw, she likes her veggies very much.
And Nutrien cakes, budgies, and cockatiels are one of the few parrot species that actually does have a lot of seeds in their diet in the wild. Most parrots don't. And so Nutrien cakes are a great way for them to get those seeds in a healthy format rather than just what we used to call bird seed.
And that's what we're looking at here, actually. And it may not be easy to see if you're not familiar with seed and with birds, but the cylindrical things in there are pellets, because even as birds that eat seeds in the wild, they would eat other things. So the pellet contains some of the other nutrition that they need. And the way that the seeds and pellets are bound together in this cake provides a little bit of extra moisture, which is beneficial to cockatiels and budgies as birds that live in an arid environment and that don't generally just drink a lot of water.
Right.
Most of the water that they get in the wild would be from, I don't know, maybe an insect or some vegetable plant matter they're eating. So having a somewhat moist food is good for them.
So we have a couple questions coming in. The first is, do we know how old Jackie is?
We don't. We do know that Jackie is a girl based on her color. Pearl cockatiels, male cockatiels that are born with pearl coloring lose it at their first molt. So we know she's a girl, but we don't know how old she is.
Got it. And another question is, if a cockatiel isn't bonded with another cockatiel, how do you know that they'll get along with another bird? You know, if you've got one at home, how do you know that this one will get along with the bird you've got?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good question. And especially when you bear in mind the quarantine period that we talked about earlier, and that we will advise and sort of require from you as a foster or adoptive parent. In general, cockatiels and budgies live in groups of hundreds or more in the wild. And it is really cool. I would encourage you to go look on YouTube. There's lots of neat footage of them in the wild.
Seeing those big flocks. Yeah. It's beautiful.
So you can see by observing that for even just a few minutes that they are accustomed to being really shoulder to shoulder or wing to wing with other birds all the time. Some of them definitely click more than others. And like, you know, you may end up living with your dearest friend. Some of them may be a little more neutral, like maybe how a human would interact with, you know, a neighbor down the street rather than someone who shares your household. But you can pretty much count on it that most cockatiels will get along with each other and most budgies will get along with each other. Most of them will occasionally bicker from time to time. In fact,
Just
that's
like
what I
us.
would like to call a flock of budgies. Like, you know, there's
A bicker of budgies.
a bicker of budgies. That's I really want to propose that to somebody, but I don't know who would who makes up names for groups of animals.
Well, it would also be you know, competing with a murmur of budgies. So
yeah, that's in some ways a nicer one. I feel like the murmur might almost fit cockatiels better. Budgies really do, like, part of their day is arguing with each other. But cockatiels tend to be quite gentle. The way that Jackie was opening her beak at the hand and backing away at the beginning of the video. If we'd had audio on, you might have heard some squawking or even some hissing. But they are not combative. They're not strong. They generally get along. We do have, if someone out there is really interested in adopting Jackie, and she's a lovely bird, I would be so happy if that's the case. And you're concerned about how she might gel with your current bird, we do have ways we can work with you on that once you get through the quarantine period. But even if they weren't best friends, it's a pretty sure bet that any given two cockatiels or budgies can get along and live together.
So as we're wrapping up, one thing I do want to point out is, although we don't know her age, we can tell that she's not a very young bird, and she's also not a very old bird. So she's somewhere in the middle. What are her housing requirements? And I see her playing with a bunch of toys. What kind of toys does she like?
Yeah, so Jackie has in her cage a mix of toys that are things she can just kind of bang around, those stainless steel measuring spoons that she was just moving. They're still swaying back and forth. And also some things that she can chew on and pick up and shred. Earlier in the video, there were some what we call shredders. That's literally the name of the product that you can buy at sort of better pet stores. And just lightweight, safe materials in case it is ingested. Untreated sisal rope, like the perch that she's got going sort of perpendicular to the ladder she's perched on. Lots of soft woods. I feel like soft things like balsa wood really like pump up a cockatiel's ego, because with that little beak, they can still like really chew.
They can still really shred it.
Yeah.
And how big a cage should a cockatiel or a pair or trio of cockatiels have?
The cage Jackie's in that we're seeing right now is 36 inches wide and 24 inches deep. So that's 3 feet wide and 2 feet deep, and 2 feet tall plus its stand.
So she's got some room to move around.
She needs room to move. Cockatiels are fairly small birds, but they are built to fly. They have those long tails. Their wings are pretty big when they spread them out, and you want them to be able to move around. For the most part, parrots don't go toward the bottom of their cage very much. Some like to play there, but mostly they like to be up high. So the real space they've got is just side to side in one plane. They don't use the up and down aspect of the cage that much.
Yeah, that's true for most parrots. So in our last minute, what one thing would you want to share with potential adopters who might be interested in Jackie?
So Jackie has we're finding that she has strong preferences. She really likes toys that she can chew. She has a specific little wire platform that she likes to sleep on. She wants to be let out of the cage in the morning. She has a routine with being let out to hang out on top of her cage, and she gets upset and we'll let you know it if she doesn't get her morning routine. I think we've all seen in this video that she is a sweet bird,
Yeah.
and that patience and kindness is just showing major dividends here. So she has things that she wants, but in return, she clearly has a lot of potential to be a wonderful companion.
Thank you very much for sharing her, Katie, and the budgies as well.